your search is over. Well, again, in this video we're going to be going through the best RPG games that you can get right now. But there is a twist. The 27 games that you will see on this list was not just chosen by me, but also by you as well during one of our live streams. So these are the games that unanimously were decided that should be on a top 27. And yes, I'm not gonna be wasting your time, and if you want to know what games are on the list, you can see it right here on the timestamps, or you can go and just jump between them in the description down below. They're all in no particular order, so let's start with number 1, which will be Divinity Original Sin series. For many, Dim is one of the latest true RPG games. This is an isometric turn-based RPG that has it all. Deep gameplay, amazing story, great combat, and a lot of longevity and replayability. Both games in the series are great, but second game is actually doing some things a little bit better. But if you want something more modern and the thing that literally did not come out just yet, I give you Baldur's Gate 3. See, Mark, I'm including it in the list. Even though the game is in early access and it will come out just in under a month, game is an amazing example of RPG experience. Having a great story and combat just like in Divinity Original Sin series, but also ending up more and giving you a deeper insight into Dungeons and Dragons universe. But if you want something more grounded, something more, well, realistic, I give you Kingdom Come Deliverance, the most realistic game in this list. Because this game, unlike any RPG, is not futuristic, is not fantasy, it's literally grounded in a medieval real world. Take control of your character in the medieval times and see how people actually lived. Enjoy amazing combat system and a great story, and many people are actually calling this realistic Skyrim. And yeah, while we're on the subject of Skyrim, let's talk about Skyrim. And in this spot, I'm gonna be actually including all of the other Scrolls games. But of course, mainly it's gonna touch Skyrim and Oblivion because those are the latest and for many the greatest. Skyrim really does not need any introduction. It's an amazing fantasy adventure RPG game, giving you one of the most detailed and amazing worlds out there in entire gaming. And of course, with an extensive mod support, this game is practically infinite play for you. But if you want something similar but a little bit more modern, of course, let's get rid of Titans first. I give you Witcher 3. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is deemed one of the best games of all time, and giving you the control of the Witcher Geralt of Rivia. Battle different monsters and solve the mysteries around the world, and of course go through main questline, which is second to, well, no other stories in any games. This game is rightfully one of the games of all time, and anyone who loves anything about RPGs must play this. But for most of you it might be a little bit too easy, and if it is, well, of course I can give you Elden Ring, which also requires no introduction. Elden Ring is an amazing Souls-like game with an amazing open world and great boss battles. And most importantly, this game does not handhold you, it does not tell you what to do. You just go in and explore the world. And because you're not really here in an Apex Predator, you will be prey most of the time, unless you actually learn how to live by the rules of this world. And when you do, boy, this game unlocks for you. And speaking of Souls-likes, what RPG list is full without Dark Souls games? And yes, I'm gonna be including all 3 Dark Souls games as one entry. Unlike Elden Ring, this is more of a linear experience, giving you same if not more difficulty and challenge, but also rewarding and satisfying feeling when you can complete it. And for the people telling me, well, where's the Bloodborne, where's the Sekiro? Well, I'm gonna be putting them all with the Dark Souls games. Technically, this entry has 5 games in it, but we're gonna still count it as a 1. But if you want something a little bit more simple and a little bit more Skyrim-ish on RPG-ish, then you can go with Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma is a great open world RPG with an amazing fantasy setting and a great story, but also the great boss battles. There are very few games where you can actually mount enemies and actually battle them while you're riding them. It has one of the most deep magical and combat systems that can keep you busy for really long time. And speaking of combating giant enemies, of course, Monster Hunter World is gonna be here. Arguably, but still for me, the best Monster Hunter game out there. It gives you an ability to battle huge monsters that can be a challenge or easy depending on what you do and how much time you spend in a grind. This game has a huge variety of monsters to battle, and with its amazing counting mechanics, this game will keep you busy for really long time, especially if you're gonna do it with your friends, because some enemies can be very difficult to battle without your friends. Of course, I'm talking about the very end game here. But was it too much fantasy and monsters? Let's go into the future then, to the year 2077 with the Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 is a first-person RPG, which takes you into dystopian cyberpunk future. With its amazing open world and a great story and quite deep gameplay, and of course with the mod support, game is amazing fun. At least right now it works. At least on a PC. And if you like first-person shooter RPGs, then yes, there are probably nothing better than Borderlands series. And in this case, I'm gonna go with both Borderlands 2 and 3. You can include Borderlands 1 and pre-sequel here, but still, let's go to the greatest 2. Borderlands games are the epitome of the looter shooters, giving the ability to tap to almost infinite amount of procedural generated weapons. with their fun boss battles and amazing co-op campaign, this game will also keep you busy for really long time and give you the moments that you will remember till the rest of your life. But say you want something more focused on a story and the world around you, then, well, of course there are also Fallout games. And this case I'm gonna put in this position Fallout 3, Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas. They're all great games giving you amazing feeling of a retro future, well, post-apocalyptic retro future. All of those games have great story and great world and a great side quest which will keep you busy and invested just like Skyrim did. So practically Skyrim with guns and with ghouls and mutants. But if you liked more classic Fallout experience, then you have Wasteland games. In this case I'm gonna be putting Wasteland 2 and 3. They're great isometric RPGs that are continuing the legacy that was left by original Fallout games. So if you liked those, then you will like Wasteland games as well. And if you like Divinity Original Sin but wanted something into more, well, modern or futuristic settings, well, Wasteland 3 is a great game for you. But let's go further into the future, like very far into the future, and play with some anime girls. In this case, we're gonna go with the Nier Automata. Yes, don't let this game's protagonist looks fool you. This game is insanely serious game. And it has probably one of the deepest and most existential stories of all the games right here. Great and fast-paced combat, multiple different endings, allowing you to do multiple different playthroughs, and one of the best soundtracks I have ever heard. But if you want a little bit different future full of robots and dinosaurs, or both of them, I'm gonna give you Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West as well. Horizon series is actually an amazing RPG game with a great story and a great open world, and most importantly, great combat, because battling giant robot dinosaurs and, well, all the other different creatures is amazing. And you can literally call this Monster Hunter with robots instead of real monsters. Both games are deep and interesting and will keep you busy for a long time, and also have a great stories that will stay with you for quite a while. And speaking of giant robots and the future, let's talk about Mass Effect. All three Mass Effect games are pinnacle of RPGs for most, and for me at least, it's one of my favorite games of all time. Giving you control of the Commander Shepard, you're taking your hero throughout 3 games to battle against the threat of Reaper invasion. With amazing stories and quest system, and with an amazing dialogue system, this game is probably one of the best games of all time. I mean, this series. And yes, despite having a disappointing ending, the entire journey was absolutely worth it to go through, and I will gladly go through it again. Speaking of journeys worth going through, I'm gonna give you God of War series, the latest 2 ones. God of War and God of War Ragnarok are great games, and in this case including both story and the gameplay. Having a control of a Greek god in a Norse world is one of the best feelings that you can have in game. Plus, with a very deep and touching story and a great combat system, this game is as memorable as any RPG can be. Plus, game looks visually stunning even on older PS4s. But there is one thing that is battling Norse gods is, well, battling with your own army against another army. And in this case, you can do this in Mountain Blade 2. Mountain Blade 2 is a mix of RPG and strategy games. And this is the true game where you are role-playing as anything that you want, because there is no set-in-stone character. We can play in whatever way that you want. You can be a lone rider, just taking the missions from everyone, or you can literally become a lord or even a king if you will gain enough power. Live in this medieval world and become whatever the hell that you want to become. And if you like it and you want something more challenging and something post-apocalyptic and futuristic, then I give you Kenshi. Yes, many argue that this should not be included in this list, but I was highly against it. This game should be here because this game is absolutely amazing. Kenshi is one of the best RPGs out there and one of the most underrated ones as well. Plus, it's also one of the most difficult ones. Giving you elements of RPG, survival, and even strategy, this game will keep you busy for hundreds of hours. And I'm not even going to be talking about the mods, because there are plenty of them. But if you want something more grounding, something that can happen with anyone, I'm gonna give you Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium is a role-playing game set in dystopian future, and you're playing as a detective and trying to solve the murder while you're piecing together your own fractured past. Game has amazing writing and storytelling, and pretty unique blend of humor, philosophy, and political intrigue. And with an amazing dialogue tree system and a skill check system, this game is one thing that you will not forget for a really long time. Speaking of things that you will not forget for a long time, because you will not be able to stop playing this, let's talk about Path of Exile. For many, Path of Exile is a true successor to Diablo 2. And this free game has one of the most amazing Diablo-like gameplays you have ever seen. With one of the most complex passive skill system and a great skill system that allows you to slot any skill that you want literally in your gear. This game will keep you busy for really long time. Plus, because the game is free to play and is an online game, This game continues to evolve year after year, becoming better and better and better and better. So if you want a game that you'll probably spend at least 1,000 hours in, well, this is probably it. But what if you don't want to play online? You want to play something like this but not online? I'll give you Grim Dawn. Much smaller project, but as great project as Diablo 2 was. And gives you a very similar feeling and play. Play in this very, well, grim world and create your own unique class that can be one of the 30 plus classes that you can actually mix and match between each other. And most importantly, all of this offline without any online play BS. Play it however you want, whenever you want, in whatever way that you want. Speaking of playing the game however you want, let's talk about Prey. Well, Prey technically is not fully RPG, it's actually an immersive sim, but it was chosen to stay in the list, so it stays in the list. And yes, Prey has an RPG element. You're playing in a near future, and you're playing on a space station that has been invaded, well, with some kind of aliens. Of course, no spoilers here. And your goal is to find out what is happening around you and, well, find some solutions. And if you have played this game, you know that you can call this game a role-playing game, if you know what I mean. And speaking of great role-playing games, Dragon Age series. Well, excluding of course Dragon Age 2, or for some even including, Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Inquisitions are great fantasy games, giving you this very Lord of the Rings-esque feeling, where in Origins you need to find a solution against the invasion of Darkspawn, which is kind of like an orcish invasion, and Inquisition you need to find a way to solve the problem with the demon invasion. So technically they're very similar in the premise-wise, but they're quite different as well. And despite not having great reception on release, both games are actually very good games that will keep you busy for a really long time and give you amazing memories, if you love fantasy games, of course. Speaking of amazing memories that has been remade for you again, Final Fantasy VII Remake. A very faithful representation of amazing game. This amazing looking and playing game will give you exactly the same Final Fantasy feeling, but remade from ground up. The game is beautiful and loved by most. And this was actually one of the games that you requested to be included in this top 27. And speaking of the games you requested including Kingdoms of Amalur. Kingdoms of Amalur is actually pretty good RPG games with a unique fate system. Game is pretty easy to get into, but also has very flashy and very interesting combat. And also a really interesting universe. Game has been remade with the Kingdom of Amalur Re-Reckoning, and right now it's actually a pretty great experience for modern gamers. And speaking of great experience for the modern gamers, this also was requested by you, and it's an Assassin's Creed RPG games. In this case, we're gonna talk about Origins, Odyssey, and for some, even Valhalla. Even though I don't want to include Valhalla in this list, let's put them all together. Covering different time periods and different places like ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and medieval England, these games will actually give you very long gameplay. And despite being a bit grindy, and in case of Valhalla, very grindy, because of extensive and very beautiful world building, these games will keep you immersed quite well. In case of Origins and Odyssey, it will keep you also immersed with the great historical figures, and that will also live around you. Whew, well, this was difficult. These were the 27 games that we chose together to be included amongst the best. There are also a lot of games that did not get included, but if you want some games to be included in this list, let me know in the comments down below, and maybe I will do another 27, because yeah, we have quite a lot of games that could be added in this list. So yeah, I hope you liked it. This will be for today. Thanks for being here with me. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. See ya.